there was another one here. Where'd it go? There's one here. Can you explain Persona to someone who does not know Persona? And I think to make this more interesting, I'm going to start a stopwatch.
Okay, that's a good idea. For those of you who are not in the know, we have just Persona background going in the music now. This is all like Persona 5 stuff, so it's pretty chill and cool. All right, so Erica, let me know when we're ready for me to describe a series of 5 video games.
Yep. What's an appropriate amount of time? 2 minutes? We're so good.
We're so drift.
We're so good. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Persona is a series of Japanese video games that were spun off from the Megaten series of Japanese video games. The Megaten series of video games is pretty dark and is all about killing and/or dethroning and/or becoming God. And they decided for Persona, let's do something a little bit more lighthearted. The first 2 games were definitely about murdering teenagers. But with Persona 3, things turned around a bit because you could start dating a lot of other, well, I mean, you could date people before, but Persona 3 was the turning point for the franchise when it started to get popular. Yeah. So popular, they released it on PSP, which were their whatever the old Sony thing that wasn't the Vita, it was the PSP. And then they had to get it off the PSP because nobody could play it, so they introduced a female version of the protagonist, and so many ships were born. And then they put out Persona 4, which is the greatest Persona game of all time. You play a bunch of small town teens who are solving a murder mystery that takes a supernatural bent, and it is like playing through an anime, especially if you play through the extended version, which features hot springs and camping and a lot more bathing suits than the original. The latest edition in the franchise is Persona 5, which is basically, once again, it's about a bunch of teens who have to set right the things in the world and are dealing with an internet-infested world. And honestly, it gets more and more relevant every year that passes. The Persona games are kind of like drill tweets in that way. And you have to attack and dethrone an evil god who wants to make all people the same, so they can all live in peace and harmony and not fuss and disagree with each other. That's Persona. They're great. Also, there's various opinions about who best girl and boy are, and that's fun to argue about.
Can I make a video essay out of that rant?
Yeah.
Just take the audio and edit a video essay on top of it?
That was incredible.
You also came in 20 seconds under time.
It's happening. It's happening.